All right. Coming to you live from Philly. It's the Paulie and Tony Fusco Show. Now, today, it's just Paulie Fusco here. And, you may be noticing, loyal fans of the show, the millions of you out there, Tony is not here currently, doing his signature open that you've all come to know and love. People, we're going to let you behind the curtain here, let you inside. We've run into a little issue. Let's call it an issue with the Colts organization. Last week, we put in a request to have their quarterback, Nick Foles, join us on today's show to discuss the injustice going on right now in Indianapolis. The team considering making him not their first, not their second, but their third string quarterback behind Matt Ryan and Sam Erlinger, Derringer, who gives a fuck? Anyway, the Colts denied our request. And, we do them the honor. We say, hey, we're going to give you the free publicity here, for your shitty team, whose games nobody watches, ever wants to watch, gets like a 0.2 rating in the Nielsen's. And this is what they do? Well, we've decided to teach them a lesson that they shall not soon forget. We have sent Tony to Indianapolis to confront the organization firsthand. Because, of course, this show's budget is so huge, we can go head-to-head with an NFL organization. And that's what we're doing right now. He is outside Lucas Oil Stadium, and we're going to bring him on the Fusco Satellite Network. But before we do that, a little quick business. Have to mention appearances on the Fusco Satellite Network are brought to you by Men's Warehouse. Do you know some a-hole who is getting married and is forcing you to rent a tux? Well, who the hell wants to spend money on that? Not you. Just go to Men's Warehouse. Use the promo code Paulie and Tony. Get 1.4% off your rental and also a free pair of used socks. Men's Warehouse. You're going to love how you look, and you'll probably still resent the a-hole getting married for the rest of your life. Okay, anyway, here we go. Let's bring Tony on the Fusco Satellite Network.
Fusco Satellite Network.
Okay, let's bring in Tony, joining us live right now outside Lucas Oil Stadium. Tony, you are on the ground there in Indianapolis. Tell us about the situation unfolding there.
That's right, Paulie. I'm coming to you live from outside Lucas Oil Stadium, which is where the Colts play. And I'm saying that because most people don't actually care about the Colts and likely have no idea where they play. Anyway, I have made several in-person attempts to contact the Colts, but they continue to withhold information, which, as we know, is a huge violation under the Freedom for Information Act.
Just absolutely shameful. Now, Tony, am I noticing something there? I can see what appears to be a slight bruise above your right eye. What is going on there?
Yeah, I got into a little bit of what you'd call a scuffle with two of the security guards here. And unfortunately, I had to beat the shit out of both of them because, they were invading my rights as a journalist.
We applaud your noble work in journalism. And now, as you know, people out there, we are live on the air right now. Certainly the entire Colts organization is listening to this broadcast. So we have someone back here monitoring the phone lines. Normally useless producer, Jay. We finally found a use for him, so good for us. But we're going to see if the Colts ring our phone during the broadcast to make any effort to reach out to us. We'll keep you posted. But while we do that, Tony, back to you. Using your contacts there on the ground, have you been able to establish why the Colts would start a bum like Matt Ryan, who lost the Super Bowl to Tom Brady, when they have Nick Foles, who absolutely destroyed Tom Brady in the Super Bowl?
No. And in fact, I've spoken to several people in the vicinity outside the stadium, and they said they don't know anything about the situation and then asked me to leave the premises immediately. So you kind of have to wonder what they're hiding.
Very suspicious. And now what about around the vicinity of Indianapolis? What is the general tone and level of concern in the city right now over this troubling situation?
Paulie, I've spoken with many people here in Indianapolis, and many of them didn't seem to know that Nick Foles was even on the team. And when I told them that he is, and I reminded them that Matt Ryan folded like a cheap suit in the Super Bowl, they did seem slightly concerned. And please allow me to clarify, when I say cheap suit, that is certainly not the type of suit you would find at our fine sponsor, our dear friends, Men's Warehouse.
Great clarification, Tony. And Tony, also, the Colts' disrespect toward Mr. Nick Foles, you know what it shows? It shows that they don't understand the one stat that matters for a quarterback. And of course, I'm talking about playoff career passer rating. And
what else
I don't even need to look up Nick Foles' career playoff passer rating to know that it's easily much better than Matt Ryan's.
You'd be wasting your time looking up such obvious information. Matt Ryan, they should call him Doormat Ryan, because he lets teams walk all over him on their way to getting Super Bowls.
Excellent perspective there, as always, Tony. Now,
thank you.
We're seeing you on our screens here. Do you see anyone exiting the building or maybe coming in your direction?
No, nothing yet.
Cowards.
Unbelievable.
All right, well, while we wait for that, we're going to address now another story, turn our attention to something that does require our attention also.
Breaking news.
Big news out of Cowboys training camp. Left tackle Tyron Smith suffered a torn hamstring in practice, and he is now out indefinitely. And Tony, if there's one person who clearly deserves the blame for this, it's Dak Prescott. Isn't that right?
Who else are you going to blame? Of course. The offensive linemen have had way too much pressure on them. They know that they need to give Dak at least 11 seconds to throw, or else he'll throw an interception.
Yep.
With this injury, frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Dak Prescott suddenly calls it quits and retires in order to avoid being exposed.
I would hate to give the Cowboys ideas here, but, if they want to protect Dak until Tyron Smith comes back, you know what they should do, Tony? They should pull what's come to be known across the league as the Deshaun Watson. And, as we said last week, the Deshaun Watson is when you let your quarterback do something terrible, so he gets, an 11-game suspension, and then he comes back later in the season rested and healthy for the playoffs, which is what the Browns have done. Now, if the Cowboys were smart, they'd do the same with Dak, wouldn't they? They'd let the league suspend Dak for maybe, 3 months or so. That's a good time frame. And when he comes back, Tyron Smith will be healthy and ready to protect Dak from being exposed. Isn't that right, Tony?
Excellent point, Paulie. You have to consider it if you're the Cowboys. Have Dak do something that would get him suspended, something like maybe embezzling some money from a charity for orphans or something like that. Nothing too bad, but bad enough where he can be out for a while.
Great suggestion, Tony. And, we just saw this with Aaron Donald, who swung that helmet at another Bengals player during a joint practice, with the Rams. He knew the Rams will easily lock up a playoff spot. So he could just, go ahead, get himself suspended until December, get some extra rest, and boom, bada bing, he's ready to go.
Yep, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Tom Brady getting himself suspended so he can score some weeks off too.
Bound to happen. And on that note, and by the way, this is in the business what we call a segue. Saturday, the Bucs are in Indianapolis playing the Colts. And, I know some of our listeners may be listening to this episode after the game because, frankly, they're lazy and can't prioritize their time. But, Tony, have you seen Tom Brady at the stadium yet?
I can report that a couple of hours ago, I spotted a man hobbling past one of the gates and looking quite frail and decrepit. And I said, Tom Brady, you fucking suck. But when I got closer, I realized it was just a 68-year-old parking lot attendant with a bad leg.
Well, you can see how you could have made that mistake very easily. Anyway, let's go ahead and check in with our normally useless producer, Jay. Jay, you've been monitoring the phone lines. What have you heard? Have you heard from the Colts organization?
I assure you, Nobody has called.
Yeah, it's like you on a Friday night. Nobody's called.
Yeah, you probably forgot what it sounds like when a phone rings.
No.
Yeah. Oh,
By the way,
what?
I'm
Now
just
he's
going to
gonna
do corrections
talk.
now.
What are you going to do?
What?
I'm just going to do corrections now.
How about you don't?
Yeah. Quit while you're behind.
Look, you said Nick Foles has a higher playoff passer rating than Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
No, definitely not true. Nick Foles has a passer rating of 98.8. Matt Ryan has a passer rating of 100.8. It's 2 points higher.
Oh, yeah? Well, you know what's also 2 points higher? My dog's IQ compared to yours.
Yeah. At least my dog knows how to bark when the phone rings.
Yeah. Now enough out of you.
Oh, number two.
Yeah, no more.
What?
Another thing you got wrong.
What?
You said nobody watches Colts games and they get a 0.2 rating.
Yeah.
No NFL team gets a 0.2 rating. Actually, last year, the Colts had a 24.3 rating, which was 16th in the league, middle of the pack.
Oh, yeah? Well, you're going to be in the middle of a pack of dogs when I get my dog and his friends to come feed on you.
Yeah. We have a new name for you. Purina. Dog chow.
Enough.
That's it. No more.
Hey,
What?
By the way,
Hurry up.
Go.
you said the Colts denied your request?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Jerks.
They never denied your request. They didn't even respond, probably because they didn't want to waste their time.
Oh, yeah? Well, you know what's also denied? Your salary for the entire year.
Yeah. When you send that Venmo, we're going to send back a no.
Great one, Tony.
Thank you.
You can afford a trip to Indianapolis and yet you can't pay me? How does that add up?
Are you discussing business on the air? That is so unprofessional.
Shame on you.
Yeah. Anyway, let's just wrap the show here. Enough out of him. You know, Tony, Colts obviously ducking us this week, but don't worry, people.
Yep.
Nick Foles, he may not be booked for this week, but after this episode and the Colts hearing this, he's going to come running. They're going to come running to say forgiveness. Yeah, that's what they're going to do and apologize. Now, anyway, follow us on our many social platforms that are taking off. We got TikTok, Instagram. We're all over the place. And Tony, tremendous journalism and tremendous reporting work on your part today.
Yep. Flawless reporting and another flawless show.
There you go. There's Tony live from Lucas Oil Stadium. And that's it for us. We'll see you people next week. Bye.
See ya.